Beast of Reincarnation immediately caught my attention for one big reason. It's made by Game Freak, the guys who made Pokemon. So when I saw them stepping away from that and creating an action RPG, I was really interested to see what they could do with something completely different. I decided to go into Beast of Reincarnation completely blind. I didn't watch any trailers, I didn't read any previews, and I really didn't know what to expect going in. After spending about 2 hours with the game, I have a lot of thoughts on what I've experienced so far. Hey everyone, welcome back to RareCandyChris Reviews, and these are my first impressions of Beast of Reincarnation. The very first thing that impressed me was the presentation. This game is absolutely gorgeous. I really like the world Game Freak has created here. It's post-apocalyptic setting with a barren landscape filled with corrupted robotic enemies and corrupted beasts. There's a strong focus on nature throughout the world and its creatures, including plant-based elements and abilities. Mixing that with the robotic and post-apocalyptic side of the game gives everything a really interesting aesthetic. Visually, the game is stunning, and I think the atmosphere is one of the strongest parts of the experience so far. The music and sound design were also really well done. A lot of the music during my opening hours had this slower, sadder feeling to it, which really fit the post-apocalyptic world extremely well. It added to that lonely atmosphere without becoming too distracting. Combined with the visuals, I think that the soundtrack does a great job of establishing the overall mood of the game. Gameplay-wise, Beast of Reincarnation is a fairly straightforward action RPG with that hack and slash feel. You've got your attacks, dodging, blocking, parrying, all the mechanics you'd expect from this type of game. The controls and responsiveness felt good. I had fun with the combat, but I wouldn't say there's anything groundbreaking about it. During the first 2 hours, I did find myself using the same few attacks repeatedly, so combat started to feel a little repetitive. But I also don't think that's a completely fair criticism yet. I haven't unlocked enough of the skill trees to really see what the combat system eventually becomes. There could be a lot more abilities and different ways to approach fights later on. So for now, I'd say combat is fun and functional, but nothing I haven't seen before in other action RPGs. And then we have Ku. Without question, Ku is my favorite part of the opening hours. Ku is your canine companion, and I pretty much fell in love with him immediately. He's also more than just a companion following you around. Ku plays an active role during combat, giving you secondary attack options and helping you break enemy guards. I really enjoyed having that additional option during fights because it made Ku actually feel like he was fighting alongside me. During the opening hours, you also get to learn a little bit about Ku's backstory and how he became your companion. And after that, you can interact with him, and most importantly, you can pet Ku. That alone made me smile. The world can be falling apart around us. There can be corrupted robots, beasts everywhere. I don't care. I can pet Ku. As for the story, I'm still undecided. From what I've experienced so far, the post-apocalyptic setup feels somewhat familiar. It actually reminded me a little bit of Stellar Blade in terms of the general feeling of the world. I wouldn't say I was immediately attached to any of the characters either, including the main character. Ku is definitely the exception, but I also only played for 2 hours, and I went into the game knowing absolutely nothing about the characters or this world. As the story progressed, I was starting to understand more about what was happening, so I can definitely see myself becoming more invested as I spend more time with everyone. I just haven't had enough time with the story yet to make a strong judgment on it. Traversal is probably one of the weaker areas for me so far. There's an ability where you can use your hair to propel yourself towards certain objects. It's a cool idea, but I found it a little inconsistent. There were moments where I'd press the button expecting to move towards something, but nothing would happen. I'd have to reposition myself, find the right angle, wait for it to register properly, and then use the ability. I also had moments where something as simple as getting over a tree root felt a little more difficult than it should have. It's definitely not game breaking, but traversal could have felt a little smoother and more responsive. Performance wise, I was actually pretty happy. I didn't experience any noticeable frame rate drops during my first couple of hours, and overall the game ran well. There were a few bugs. At one point I got stuck on a branch, I had some issues getting over a tree root, and during the first boss fight, the boss was supposed to run away, but managed to get himself stuck on a tree and couldn't move properly. Personally, little bugs like that don't really bother me. If they're constantly happening or they're stopping me from progressing, that's different, but nothing I encountered was bad enough to break my immersion or seriously hurt the experience. So there were definitely some bugs, but nothing major. Overall, I enjoyed my first couple of hours with Beast of Reincarnation. If I didn't have work the next morning, I would have continued playing. At the same time, I wouldn't say I was completely hooked. It wasn't one of those games where I suddenly looked at the clock and realized I had been playing for 6 hours. I was enjoying myself enough that I wanted to continue, but when midnight came around, I was also perfectly fine with putting the controller down and going to bed. And I think that's probably the best way I can describe my experience so far. I'm enjoying it, I want to play more, but it hasn't reached that point where I'm completely obsessed with it. At least not yet. Based purely on my first impressions, I would definitely recommend this game to people, especially if you're interested in seeing Game Freak step outside of Pokemon and try their hand at an action RPG. The combat isn't doing anything revolutionary so far, and there are a few areas like Traversal that I think could be improved, but it's still enjoyable to play. The visuals are gorgeous, the atmosphere and music are excellent, performance was solid during my time with it, and Ku is obviously the best boy. I'm definitely going to continue playing. For my first impressions of Beast of Reincarnation, I'm giving it 6.5 rare candies out of 10. And on my rating scale, that's a good score. This is a good game. It's not groundbreaking, and nothing about the gameplay has completely blown me away so far, but I've enjoyed what I've played, and I want to continue. Obviously, this is based off the first couple of hours of gameplay, so my opinion could change significantly as I get further into the game. But right now, 6.5 feels right. And who knows, maybe Ku can earn it a few more rare candies before the end. If you're enjoying the review series, leaving a like really helps. Please subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Also, let me know in the comments what other games you'd like to see me review in the future, whether it's classics, something more modern, or a game that's going to be coming out. I'd love to hear your suggestions. Thank you so much for watching RareCandyChris Reviews, and I'll see you in the next one.